It started with the wedding ring I was supposed to have kept safe. Because I lost it, my fiancée, Clara, decided to teach me a lesson. She was the CEO of the company we had built together, and she had a flair for the dramatic. She called off our wedding and, in a move that stunned everyone, announced she would marry her assistant, Sam, instead. The ceremony was to be a public spectacle, a tool for corporate PR. But on the day of the wedding, as the farcical event unfolded, I saw the ring. It was there, on Sam's hand. The very same one I had supposedly lost. Before I could even form the words to question him, he preempted me. Sam burst into tears, a dramatic display for all to see, claiming I was trying to frame him simply because I didn't like him. To underscore his supposed innocence, he theatrically offered his resignation. Clara, always quick to protect him, fell for it completely. To placate Sam and punish me, she convened a company-wide meeting. There, in front of everyone we worked with, she publicly berated me, calling me jealous and unworthy of my position. She declared her intention to strip me of all my company shares, transferring them to Sam as compensation for his emotional distress. The final threat hung in the air. If I didn't comply, she would truly leave me and make her sham marriage to Sam a real one, leaving me with absolutely nothing. A collective gasp went through the conference room, and I could feel the weight of dozens of sympathetic but helpless stares. Everyone there assumed I would do what I always did, fold and yield to whatever Clara demanded. But this time was different. I simply brought my hands together in a soft clap. "Well then," I said, my voice even. "I wish the two of you a long and happy life together." As the words settled, Clara's expression of confident authority faltered. For a moment, she was just stunned. Then, her face contorted with anger. She slammed a thick contract down on the conference table with a loud crack. "Leo, what is this sarcasm?" she shouted. "You're the one who makes a mistake, and you don't even have the decency to repent? Do you honestly believe I can't fire you and throw you out of this company this very second?" Whispers erupted around me, the familiar sound of office gossip. They were used to scenes like this. Despite our relationship, Clara never hesitated to publicly reprimand me if she felt I had stepped out of line, or more accurately, if someone else complained about me. Over time, any respect I might have held in the office had been systematically eroded by her actions. She wasn't satisfied with just that, though. She had taken to posting carefully edited, misleading videos of me online, which led to a barrage of public comments calling me a worthless, arrogant freeloader, completely oblivious to the fact that I had been the silent, driving force behind the company's growth. The live stream of the meeting, which she had insisted on, now had a comment section scrolling at lightning speed with vitriol directed at me. Sam, her assistant, couldn't hide a smirk. After letting the moment hang, he leisurely walked over to the camera to end the live stream, turning back to Clara with a mask of gentle persuasion. "Clara, don't be so impulsive. I've already forgiven Leo. No matter what he did, he's still your fiancé. I don't want to be the cause of any conflict between you two." A flicker of something complex, perhaps regret, passed through Clara's eyes, but Sam's words only served to harden her resolve again. She scoffed and shot a look of pure disdain at me. "He just relies on the fact that he's my fiancé. He banks on my indulgence for his childish fits. Don't you think I'm right, Leo?" she sneered. I laughed internally, a hollow, bitter sound that no one else could hear. I was done arguing. Experience had taught me that no matter what I said, she would twist it, dig her heels in, and accuse me of being unreasonable. My silence was something she could interpret as an admission of guilt, and with that she finally brought the disastrous meeting to a close. Once the room had cleared and it was just the two of us, she let out a deep sigh. "Leo, I'm genuinely disappointed in you," she began, using her favorite line. Not only do you refuse to make amends for your mistakes, but you also insist on embarrassing me in front of the entire company. I used to fall for that line every time, launching into a cycle of self-reflection and apology. But I had come to realize that my reflection was just a doorway for her to push her punishments further. "What exactly did I do wrong?" I asked calmly. "You already held the wedding with him. What was so wrong about me wishing you well?" My tone seemed to catch her off guard. A moment later she mocked. "Calling you petty isn't far off the mark. That wedding was just a publicity stunt, not a real marriage. We hyped it for a year. What would it look like if we didn't go through with some kind of ceremony? Honestly, you should be thanking Sam for this. He went out of his way to help you find that ring. And since you were away on a business trip, he even agreed to stand in as the groom to help me save face. You weren't even half as invested as he was. Where do you get off throwing a fit?" She argued with such confidence, and I couldn't stop a dry laugh from escaping. I had financed and arranged that entire wedding. I had spent 3 months meticulously planning every detail, from the hotel decor to the brand of candies in the gift bags. Initially, she was the one who insisted on giving the ring to Sam for safekeeping, claiming I had too many other responsibilities and might lose it. I had objected, but she'd overruled me, accusing me of not trusting her judgment. When the ring inevitably went missing, I was the one who scrambled to source a nearly identical backup at the last possible second, only for her to scold me for treating the matter too lightly before she stormed off. I was left to calm our friends and families, and before I had a moment to breathe, she had sent me away on another urgent business trip. And now she stood here, placing all the blame squarely on my shoulders. As for Sam wanting to marry her, everyone in the company could see his intentions. Clara was the only one pretending to be oblivious. As long as Sam chose to hide the ring, I could have turned the entire city upside down and never found it. Maybe in the past, I would have argued these points, but I was exhausted. I was done discussing problems that she understood perfectly well, but simply refused to acknowledge. Just then, the door opened and Sam walked back in. "Clara, don't be mad at Leo," he interjected smoothly, naturally gravitating to her side. "I offered to help. I've been with this company for so long, it feels like my home. What's Leo's is mine, too," he said, smiling at Clara before adding, "I just didn't expect him to be so upset about it. I'll take the blame for this whole misunderstanding." Hearing this, Clara's gaze on Sam softened with sympathy. "You're so mature, Sam," she sighed, then turned to glare at me. "Leo, do you see his attitude? Why can't you learn from him?" I didn't respond. She had always protected Sam. He didn't even have the credentials to get an interview at our company, but Clara had made an exception, pushing him through against all advice. Countless times, mistakes he made were pinned on me, because everyone knew he was her favorite, and I was an easy scapegoat. I didn't know what I was supposed to learn from him, just as I didn't know what I was supposed to say now. Clara sighed again, a sound of frustration. "Enough. I won't waste my breath. You've slandered Sam's reputation and caused rumors to spread throughout the company. Thankfully, he's strong-willed and hasn't let it affect him. We have a policy of taking care of our employees, so to make this right, you need to sign this contract." She slapped a stock transfer agreement down on the table in front of me. "You don't deserve your position anymore, and you have no right to hold on to these company shares. You should hand them over to someone more capable." Sam's eyes lit up with a greedy glint, but he quickly adopted a coy expression. "Clara, how could that be right?" "Why not? It's what you deserve," she stated firmly. I almost laughed at the sheer absurdity of it all. This company only existed because I had provided the entirety of the startup capital and worked day and night for years to secure investors and manage projects. Now, with a single sentence, she thought she could just hand over the fruits of my labor to someone else. I let out a cold, quiet laugh and picked up the contract. Clara saw my movement and assumed I was giving in. A hint of satisfaction crossed her face. Sam, on the other hand, watched my hand with undisguised excitement. As they both watched, I tore the contract cleanly in half. Then, I pulled out my phone and began to dial the police. Clara's eyes were fixed on my fingers. Seeing the numbers on the screen, she lunged forward and snatched the phone from my hand, ending the call. "Leo, what are you doing calling the police?" she asked, her voice laced with an anger that didn't quite cover a tremor of guilt. She knew she was in the wrong. "I find it funny," I said calmly. "You accused me of slander. Let's get the authorities involved and see who's really at fault. And while they're here, they can help investigate the case of the missing ring. There are security cameras everywhere. It should be easy enough to solve." A flash of panic crossed Sam's face. Clara opened her mouth to say something, but Sam interrupted her, whispering, "Let it go, Clara. We're all colleagues. There's no need to involve the police and make things embarrassing for everyone." Clara looked at him with pity, and then back at me with growing annoyance. Finally, she tapped my forehead with her finger. "Leo, you're getting nastier by the day. You should be grateful that Sam is mature enough not to stoop to your level." The mature Sam shot me a glare when Clara wasn't looking, then turned back to her with a placid smile. "I'll get back to work, Clara. You can talk to Leo." With that, he left, and I could almost feel the smug satisfaction radiating from him as he walked away. He knew Clara wasn't just going to talk. She was going to lash out on his behalf. And she did. As soon as the door clicked shut, Clara launched into a tirade about how I didn't measure up to Sam, how I was becoming more petty with age, and not nearly as mature as the younger man. When she had exhausted her anger, she brought up the wedding ring again, her tone shifting to one of earnest sincerity. "Do you really think I'm favoring him? I'm doing all of this for your own good, Leo. I want you to be able to rest while I keep the company thriving with talented people on board." She tried to put the ring, the one she'd been holding, back on my finger. Looking at her gentle expression now, a younger version of me might have believed her. But I knew better. It was just her classic move, a sweet offer after a harsh blow. I chuckled softly and instinctively pulled my hand away. Is an incompetent manager who lost the company over $8 million on a single bad deal a talented person? Should I be the one taking a break, or should you? Her face flushed with anger, but she held it back. "If that's how you feel, then we have nothing more to discuss." She threw the ring at my face and stormed out of the room. I knew this was her signal for the start of a cold war. Every time she was in the wrong, she used this tactic, freezing me out until I broke down and admitted fault. But this time, I felt no anxiety, no fear. I didn't rush to patch things up. I simply glanced down at the ring lying on the carpet and walked out. That night, Clara didn't come home until well after midnight. In the meantime, Sam posted a message in the company's group chat. "The new luxury car Clara gifted me looks amazing. Hard work really does pay off, everyone. Keep going, and you'll get there too." The post included a picture of him grinning beside a limited edition sports car, with Clara standing proudly beside him, her arm around his shoulder, her eyes filled with admiration. Colleagues flooded the comments with likes and congratulations. Clara herself responded with a cute emoji. "This is a reward for your outstanding performance. You truly deserve it. I wish certain people could learn from your example." No one needed to guess who certain people referred to. I knew she was trying to make me jealous, to provoke a reaction and force me to apologize. A male colleague, one of the first employees who had grinded with us in the early days before leaving to start a family, sent me a private message. I had recently convinced him to come back on board. "Leo, what's going on? Weren't you and Clara super in love?" His message sent a pang of nostalgia through me. He was right. Back then, we were. She would stay up for days at my bedside when I was sick, rush across 3 counties after a week of non-stop work just to buy my favorite fruit, and orchestrate elaborate birthday surprises. That car in the photo was a painful reminder of a time she'd gifted me a similar one. A grand, romantic gesture that felt like a lifetime ago. Our love, like that old car, was now over 10 years old and had long since worn out. I didn't reply to him. I just continued packing my things. I was leaving, and there was no point in keeping anything. I sold what I could and threw away what I couldn't, until only a box of old photographs was left. After a moment of thought, I found a small metal basin and began burning the pictures, one by one. That was when Clara walked in, smiling as she texted on her phone. She looked up, saw me, and her smile vanished, replaced by a scornful expression. "What are you up to? It's the middle of the night and you're not sleeping? Have you got nothing better to do?" I could tell she was still angry that her silent treatment hadn't worked. In the past, when she'd stay out late, I'd wait up for her in the living room with the lights on because I knew she was afraid of the dark. She would come home, hug me, and call me thoughtful. The difference between love and indifference is painfully clear. I didn't offer an explanation, just continued feeding the photos to the small flame. Clara never liked having her picture taken. So many of these were the result of my patient persuasion. I thought she wouldn't care, but she surprised me by walking over and taking the remaining photos from my hand, examining them one by one. "When did we take these? I don't even remember them," she murmured, her tone softening. "This profile shot turned out well. Who took this one? Why does this one look so funny? You look like a cute little fox here, Leo. You were so adorable back then, all chubby cheeks," she reminisced to herself, a small, genuine smile creeping onto her lips. I remained silent. After a few seconds, she seemed to remember our ongoing fight. She cleared her throat and frowned. "Why did you burn those photos?" "We don't need them anymore," I said casually. "All right, don't think I don't know what you're doing," she smirked, standing up and shoving the photos back into my hands. "You did this on purpose, didn't you? Just to get my attention. Stop sulking. Tomorrow afternoon, bring your ID and let's go to the marriage registry." Her tone was arrogant, as if marrying me was a great favor she was bestowing. I chuckled and tossed the rest of the photos into the basin. The last flicker of our good memories turned to ash. Clara frowned instantly. "What are you doing? Clara, Before I could finish, her phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, her eyes lit up. She walked straight into the bedroom to answer, her happy laughter seeping through the closed door. I waited outside, staring at the ashes. It took her almost half an hour to emerge, still smiling. "Something came up at work. I have to step out. I probably won't be back until late." She tried to sound nonchalant, but I knew the call was from Sam. Work had been her excuse to meet him for years. I didn't call her out on it, I just nodded. She went back into the bedroom to change her clothes, and I could smell the perfume she sprayed. One phone call was all it took for her to forget about me and the photos I'd just burned. "Hey, what were you going to say earlier?" she asked suddenly, just as she was about to leave. "I can sell my shares to Sam at market price," I said after a pause. "See if he's interested." Clara looked pleasantly surprised. "Are you serious?" I nodded. She quickly came over, held my face between her hands, and kissed me hard. "You're being so good today. I knew you cared about me. I'll let him know later." Then, realizing her slip, she quickly corrected herself. "I mean, I'll call him." I pretended not to notice, wiping the kiss from my face with a feeling of disgust. The sooner the better, before I change my mind. She gave a quick nod and left, humming a tune. Less than half an hour later, a text arrived. Sam had agreed to buy the shares. I wasn't surprised. The company was doing well, and the shares were worth a fortune. Even if he didn't have the money himself, Clara would help him. It was essentially a free gift. He would never pass it up. Clara didn't come home that night. I assumed they were out celebrating, but in the dead of night, my phone rang. It was a call from her number. Half asleep, I answered. I heard her heavy breathing, and then Sam's cheerful voice. "Clara, you don't even like Leo anymore. Why are you going to marry him?" A few seconds of silence passed, and then Clara's sharp response. "We've been together for 10 years. Plus, he's already agreed to give up the shares. It's not the right time to break up. Don't ruin the mood." Then the call ended. I stared at the screen. I knew Clara wasn't aware of the call. It was Sam's way of taunting me. It had happened before. Complaining to Clara was useless. She trusted him more than me. I even guessed that she would now find an excuse to back out of going to the marriage registry. I put my phone down and went back to sleep. The next day, I continued packing. As expected, Clara came home in the evening, looking tired. "Leo, I had something urgent come up. I couldn't make it to the marriage registry. You're not mad, are you?" There was a faint scratch on her neck. The urgency was obvious. I shook my head. "Not mad. I was prepared. I didn't go anyway." "Good," she said, handing me the share transfer contract with a smile. She seemed anxious, probably afraid I'd change my mind out of anger. I ignored her demeanor and signed the papers after checking the terms. Once it was done, she visibly relaxed and immediately got a lawyer to finalize the transfer. What should have taken a week was rushed through in half an hour. The shares were transferred to Sam, and the money was in my account. All settled. Clara was happy. She even looked at me with renewed affection. "Why do you look so worn out? I was planning to go get the license tomorrow, but since you've been so good, we can go today." She laughed, pinching my cheek. I slapped her hand away. I said nothing, just turned and grabbed the suitcase I'd already packed. Clara didn't understand. "What are you doing? Planning a honeymoon? Leo, I agreed to marry you, but I can't do a honeymoon right now. I'm too busy." "It's not a honeymoon," I interrupted. "I'm leaving, Clara. We're breaking up." "Breaking up?" She was stunned, and then she laughed. "You're joking, right? I get it, you're annoyed about the shares, but you're the one who sold them to Sam. You got the money. Stop acting like a martyr." She treated it like a joke. I sighed. "It's not about the shares." "Then what is it?" she demanded. Then her eyes lit up with understanding. "It's because I didn't go to the registry, isn't it? Leo, don't be so petty. I explained I really did have to deal with something important." Before she could finish her excuse, a distinctive sound rang out from her pocket. Her face went stiff. She quickly pulled out her phone and silenced it. An awkward silence fell over the room. I remained calm, looking at her nervous embarrassment. It seemed she didn't know Sam had switched her ringtone to a recording of their conversation. Another one of his childish pranks. "Clara," she started, but I was done listening. "I know," I said flatly. "I heard what you and Sam talked about last night. Breaking up is the best thing for both of us." Faced with the undeniable truth, I thought she would finally agree. Instead, she grabbed my hand, a bitter smile on her face. "I get it. It's because of Sam. I'll move him to a different department so you won't have to see him. I never considered leaving you, Leo. We have 10 years together. Let's not end like this. I really do want to marry you. Sam was just a momentary thing." "Look," she said, showing me a booking confirmation on her phone for an appointment at the marriage registry. She really had booked it. I believed she had intended to marry me, but intentions can change in an instant. Her saying she wouldn't leave me now didn't mean she wouldn't run to Sam the next time he called. I took out my own phone and showed her the screen. "But I genuinely wanted to leave, and I've already bought a ticket to go home. I had booked it a month ago and had canceled and rebooked it several times before finally making up my mind." Clara stared at the ticket, motionless, as if frozen. "Disappointment builds up over time, Clara," I said softly. "Our love died when Sam showed up. It's just now being buried. Let's just stop here and not torture each other anymore." Clara covered her face, her eyes turning red. "I was just confused for a moment, but I never planned to break up with you. I never thought it would come to this. Please, just give me another chance. Give me a chance to make things right." She grabbed my hand again. I pulled my hand away firmly, not looking at her. I pulled my suitcase toward the door. As I reached the corner of the hallway, I looked back one last time at the home I had lived in for years. In the countless, painful, lonely nights after she began neglecting me for Sam, I had imagined this moment over and over. I thought I would be devastated, heartbroken, unable to stand. But standing here now, I felt nothing but a profound calm, a deep numbness. Perhaps it was a sign of extreme pain, or perhaps the person I used to be had already died during all those agonizing nights. I could hear Clara pounding on the walls inside the apartment, but I didn't stay. I turned and left. As soon as I got downstairs, I saw Sam leaning against his new car, a cigarette dangling from his lips, a smug look on his face. He wasn't pretending anymore. He held his head high, and his gaze swept over my suitcase. A breakup. He chuckled, his plan having succeeded. He flicked cigarette ash in my direction. "Leo, you really do look like a stray dog now. So pathetic. I told you back then to break up with her, but you didn't listen. Now look where you are. Out of the company, out of her life. I remembered when he first joined the company, secretly taunting me to leave Clara. I knew his true colors, but he was a master at hiding them from her. Back then, I couldn't control my temper and would argue with him, which only led to Clara misunderstanding me more. Now, looking at his smug face, I wasn't angry. I just felt a strange sense of amusement that I had been manipulated by such childish tricks for so long. "Clara genuinely cares about me, you know," Sam rambled on. "The money to buy your shares? That came from her." I walked up and stood directly in front of him. "What, are you going to hit me?" He raised an eyebrow, assuming I would restrain myself because of Clara. He blew a plume of smoke directly in my face. I didn't speak. I reached out, plucked the half-smoked cigarette from between his lips, and before he could react, I pinched his jaw open and shoved the lit end back into his mouth. He yelped in pain, spitting out the cigarette butt. "Leo, you're crazy!" he cursed, his eyes burning with rage. He reached out to grab my hair, but then he saw something over my shoulder and quickly withdrew his hand, scurrying over to Clara, who had just come downstairs. "Clara, Leo just shoved a cigarette in my mouth. It burned my tongue. It hurts." He showed his tongue to Clara, his usual tactic to gain her sympathy. Every other time, she would have immediately taken his side, scolding me and forcing me to apologize. I figured this time would be no different. Not wanting to hear it, I turned to leave. But instead of scolding me, Clara called out, "Leo, where are you going? Let me drive you." Her voice was surprisingly gentle, almost pleading. It caught me completely off guard. Sam was stunned too, unsure if he had heard correctly. "Clara, he hurt me," he whined. Clara finally looked at him. She took out her phone and transferred him some money. Her voice was unusually cold. "Go to the hospital yourself. I don't have time for you right now." Larry stood frozen. He didn't take the money. He clutched her wrist, shaking it with a pout, his go-to move to win her over. But this time Clara shook him off without hesitation. He stumbled and fell to the ground, his eyes filling with tears, his confidence shattered. "Clara, why are you doing this to me? Last night we—" "Shut up, Sam," she cut him off. "I saw you provoking Leo first. Leave now, or disappear from my life forever." She was genuinely angry. Sam didn't dare argue. He shut his mouth, turned, and left dejectedly. Clara watched him go, then turned to me, her voice full of regret. "I'm sorry, Leo. I didn't know before." "Cut the act," I interrupted flatly. "You knew he was provoking me. You knew how I was being treated. You saw his slander and his games as harmless jokes, and you played along. The only reason you're siding with me now is because I'm actually leaving. Otherwise, you'd be comforting him." When I finished, Clara was speechless. I had guessed right. She had enjoyed dancing between two people who loved her, wanting both and letting go of neither. "Don't bother driving me. Just cherish what you have now. Consider it my last piece of advice, for the sake of our 10 years together." "No, Leo, the one I've always loved is you!" she cried. I admit I had a momentary crush on Sam, but from start to finish, my heart was always with you. Worried I wouldn't believe her, she rummaged through her bag and took out a diamond ring. It was our wedding ring, the one she had thrown at me earlier. She grabbed my hand and slowly slid the ring onto my finger, gripping it tightly as if she was afraid I'd refuse. "Our feelings were always there," she pleaded. "I was just temporarily lost in a fog, but when the fog clears, I can still see you." She was trying to win me back, but her smile quickly froze. The ring was too big. It slid loosely on my finger. I wasn't surprised. It seemed Clara had it resized after it was lost. I chuckled. Clara looked flustered. "The ring can be fixed. It'll be back to the original size soon," she muttered to herself. I ignored her. Realizing the futility of her actions, she finally broke down. "I'm going to confront him," she said, picking up her phone to call Sam. While she was distracted, I took the ring off my finger, placed it in her hand, and walked away without another word. "Leo!" she shouted my name desperately. I didn't respond. I got in my car and drove away. Through the rearview mirror, I saw her chasing after me, tears streaming down her face. In that moment, I saw a reflection of my past self in her. For years, wasn't I the one chasing after her, only to break down each time? But she had Sam. She would probably bounce back much quicker than I ever did. I thought that was the end, but I underestimated her. Soon after I arrived at the airport, an announcement declared my flight was delayed by 4 hours due to passenger issues. I decided to wait in the lounge. It wasn't long before I noticed I was the only passenger left. A group of men in sharp suits, looking like security, were talking to someone just outside. Before I could investigate, a group of people walked in carrying huge bouquets of flowers. "Leo, please forgive Clara," they recited in unison. "She knows she was wrong and wants to take you back home." I frowned. This was Clara's doing. The commotion attracted a crowd. It reminded me of how she first confessed her feelings to me on a Christmas Eve, surrounded by candles and rose petals. That memory, once a source of comfort, now just felt tiresome. I stood there, unmoved. A few minutes later, Clara and Sam walked in. From an angle where Clara couldn't see, Sam shot me a look of pure fury. Then, in the next second, he knelt before me. "Leo, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. Don't leave Clara. She loves you so much. I'm willing to step aside." His words were carefully chosen, making him sound like a martyr. I looked at Clara and saw the eagerness in her eyes. This reluctant apology was her idea. "You can go," she said softly to Sam. He got up, threw a few more lines of persuasion at me, and left, shooting me one last cold glare over his shoulder. "Leo, I had Sam apologize, and the company has fired him," Clara said, offering me a massive bouquet of roses, just like she did all those years ago. "Come back with me. Let's go back to how we were and start over, okay?" I took the roses from her. Her eyes lit up for a second, right before I spoke. "You seem a bit overconfident. If we were to start all over again, do you really think I'd choose to be with you?" I dropped the roses into a nearby trash can. Disappointment flickered in her eyes, but she quickly put on a bright smile. "It's okay. I'll show you how sincere I am. I bought a house for us, a makeup gift. I even bought a new camera and tons of frames to make that photo wall you always wanted. And I'll hand over the deed to you. It will be ours." She began to search frantically through her bag. "The deed was just in here." Her face grew worried as she turned the whole bag upside down. Everything was there except the deed. I glanced at my watch. "Sorry, I need to board soon. I don't have time to watch you perform." My words hit her hard. The hope in her eyes vanished, replaced by the reflection of my own indifference. "If it's gone, it's gone," I said, leaving the words ambiguous. She understood. Tears welled up in her eyes again. As I calmly walked past her, she collapsed to the floor, crying hysterically. I ignored the stares and whispers and walked to my gate, toward the next chapter of my life. Back in my hometown, Clara would occasionally send messages, sharing small details of her life. I deleted her contact information, but she found other ways to reach me. One night she drunk-dialed me, crying and cursing me for being heartless before ending with a whispered, "Leo, I miss you so much." A week later, I got a text. She was marrying Sam. I was busy with a promotion at the new job I'd landed, and I was made a manager within 3 months. I simply replied with my congratulations. Later, I heard from old friends that her wedding to Sam was a grand but disastrous affair. They fought publicly, and she ended up pushing him down a flight of stairs. The scandal was everywhere. Apparently, Sam had botched a major deal embarrassing her company. When she confronted him, he complained she wasn't paying enough attention to him and had been misusing company funds. She was furious, but married him anyway, a last-ditch effort to control the damage. After the wedding disaster, she snapped, sued him for embezzlement, and he ended up in jail. People said Clara declared bankruptcy and vanished after that. But on the day she disappeared, a delivery arrived for me. It was sent in her name. Inside was a property deed to a beautiful mansion, with my name listed as the sole owner. And tucked alongside it was a diamond ring, perfectly sized to fit my finger,